Okay, Deb? Are you there?
I am.
Okay, I need you to be my second.
Okay, I can do that.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyway, so I'm ready to call the meeting to order at 4:01. And do we need to do roll call? I have everyone noted. You have everyone noted? Okay, perfect. Oh, yeah. And if it's okay, I am going to change the order of the meeting. We're going to move the utilization management plan with Jeanette Lacy up to the first item under new business. I have no other changes. Okay, and I also need to have approval of the agenda. Yep,
I move to approve the agenda.
thank you. Okay, I'm gonna second it then. And is everybody here from public participation? Yes, all right, moving on to approval of the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second. And we're gonna do old business. First item is the quality dashboards, and that is Robert Pollock and Gail.
Good afternoon. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. Let's get in sync here. All right. So this is our main board quality dashboard for 2026. We made a few changes. We've tried to synchronize with the quality plan. So I'll go through here and I'm going to lean on Charlie for the infection control and Gail for the employee survey items. So we're going to maintain our accreditation and certification readiness. That's a standing item. Nothing has changed there. Hospital acquired bloodstream catheter infections, still none since 2008. So we're meeting the goal there. Readmission rate, we revised that slightly. I should say the goal slightly. We want to increase that from our current condition, which is a 9% readmission rate, to 8/7 by the end of 2026. So we're looking good there. We did add the Leapfrog. We want to improve our Leapfrog hospital safety grade. We want to improve that to an A. Currently, we are at a B from C, so we're not meeting that, but we intend to achieve that by 11/2027. Hospital Compare 5-star quality rating. We maintain our 5-star rating, so we're meeting the goal there. For sepsis, our current conditions are we're trending about 64%, but we still have 4 cases outstanding, still haven't completed yet. So that's still pending. Hopefully we will meet the goal there. We did revise our goal from 55%, which was the national average when we originally set the goal, to the current national average, which is 64%. So you can see that there. Patient falls, 0.69 for fourth quarter. With injury, without 2.1, meeting goals on both of those. Restraints and seclusions, is too early yet for us to have that data finalized, so that is pending for the fourth quarter. Now, on the surgical site infection, the last time you guys saw this, we did show 1 SSI in Q1 2025, but after reviewing that with Charlie, we realized that was actually should have been attributed to the fourth quarter of 2024, so you don't see that there. So our SSI rate is 0.1 per 100, which is good. Am I still with you guys? Like we've dropped off. Hello?
Oh,
There you go.
Hello?
Oh, no, it's still recording. Yay. Okay, cool.
Okay, so I don't know where I lost you guys exactly.
Here we pull up. You were just gonna talk about sepsis, Robert.
Oh, wow. Okay, I got away. All right. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I don't know where I lost you on sepsis, but I'll go
At
through
the
that
beginning.
again. I'm sorry.
At the beginning.
Okay, at the beginning. Very good. Okay, so for sepsis, for Q4, we stand at about 64%, but we still have 4 cases still that are still pending, so that may change. We hope to meet our goal, and our goal was revised. It was 55%, which was the national average for some time. And when we first started this project, we set the goal at 55. We have revised the goal for 2026 to 64%, which is the current national average. Now, for patient falls, we're 0.69 falls with injury, 2.1 falls without injury, so looking good there. Restraints and seclusions, and this is MHU data, that's still pending because we still have some cases that need to close, so we should have that by the next time we go over this. Now, for surgical site infection, after meeting with Charlie, we realized that in the previous iteration of this current condition dashboard, we showed 1 case in Q1 2025 that actually should have been attributed to the Q4 of 2024. So we revised that to reflect that. For calendar year 2025, our SSI rate is 0.1 per 100, which is very good. That's better than our goal of 0.3 per 100 procedures. Urinary catheter associated urinary events, we had none in 2025, nor any C. diff cases. Now, hand hygiene, we have changed the goal there. It was number of correct observations. Correct me here, Charlie, if I get something wrong, but we changed that now to 100 observations per quarter per unit and a 90% compliance rate. So we have 2 goals. Prior, we just were looking at the compliance rate, and for 2025, our compliance rate with hand hygiene was 85%. And we're still working on the data, and we're going to have unit data for the Q4.
Yeah, what Robert's talking about is observation unit data. Still compiling this. And the reason we're doing that is to meet leapfrog standards.
Okay, so safety culture index, Gail, if you want to speak to that at all.
Sure, these are coming out of our Press Ganey employee culture surveys, and this is a little hint of our preview for our board. So this year, our survey results were, we went up a little bit, which was great. So what we are doing is we're trending upwards. The country nationally is trending downwards, so we're closing the gap. But what I set for our goal in quality is to reach the AHA 9 average of 3.97, or a 1% increase over the 2025 score, which is, you think 1% is not that much, but in a employee engagement survey, that is actually a lot to achieve. So that is what I set for the goal there. And then for prevention and reporting, we actually went down a little bit this year. We had a couple departments that we've had longstanding interim leadership. I think that attributed to it. And we also increased our pool that we have. We allowed our travel staff also to add to our engagement. We have a lot of longstanding travelers, and then some that work a considerable, a couple of contracts. So I wanted to do that this year to capture their perception of our organization based on other organizations, because I thought that would give us a little bit richer results. It isn't statistically significant. It was 3.96 over 4.02. But we did go down a little bit. So our goal is also to, on this, I would like to increase it. And I think that is achievable also. I would like to increase our favorable rating to 85% by 12/26. And Robert, you can talk about value.
Okay. So HCAHPS, we have two metrics here. We have our overall rating as well as likelihood to recommend. This is coming off our Press Ganey surveys. For the fourth quarter, we were at 80% on overall rating. Our goal is 85, so we're not quite meeting the goal there. And then our likelihood to recommend, 74% for the fourth quarter, exceeding our goal, which is 69%. Now we traditionally see a dip after cruisers leave, so we usually lose a few points, and you can see that reflected in that dip from the third quarter to the fourth quarter. So going down further, average, or actually median time patients spend in the ED, that data is still pending. We have been trending higher on that, but that data for the fourth quarter isn't complete yet. And Gail, there's a couple more employee survey.
Absolutely. So these two, the reason it's not meeting our goal is because we set a new goal for the fall. So our scores went up on both of these. We did not meet the goal that we set for this year. And we set a new goal for next year. Again, we want to increase every single year we did this. And this is our safety culture, resources, and teamwork, and our pride and reputation. Our pride and reputation actually went up significantly. We went from 3.84 to 3.96, which was a good increase. So that is how our organization feels about pride and reputation. And then our teamwork, it went from 3.55 to 3.65, that was 0.10. And the part of that we are going to work on, and we'll be talking about it fleshing next month, is we work really well as departments and core groups. What we're going to work on is how we work cross-departmentally. So that's the one area that's always challenging. So that's one area that our leadership team is going to come up with some action items and how we work well department to department. That is the one thing that it shows that we need to work better. So again, I'm looking at our AJ9 mean scores, and we want to reach the that mean score by the end of the year. That's our goals. Any questions there?
Sharon, if you could scroll up just a little. I think there's one more,
Yeah.
Gail.
I'll keep going down till the rest of these. Employee engagement, overall. Gosh, I feel like I'm like spilling the beans on all of these. See, it's a good thing you come to quality. You get to hear all this good news ahead of time. Our overall score, 3.92. Woohoo! That's great. So, anything you want to say on that, Jax?
No, our target was the mean. The mean continues to go down across the nation, and our scores are continuing to go up. So we didn't make meeting the mean, but we closed that gap by half, and we closed by half the year before. So we're moving in the right direction. So, and there's definitely some key drivers that we'll get into the full presentation.
And then physician engagement. We did this a biannual physician engagement, and this you will get the full results in the board physician combined meeting that you do with the physician leadership and the board. Just a little taste of what happened. That had an 8.25% increase. In 2024, there was 40 responses. This year we had 47 responses, which is actually 5% increase in your score. And the goal for this year, we're going to start doing this survey every year, is to get an increase in our survey response rate by 10% every year. With physician engagement, we also want to see an increase in responses from our physicians by 10% every year. So that way we can get more engagement and feedback from our physicians on it. So it was really nice to see engagement scores going up, and hopefully we can get more feedback from our physicians. And I think the rest is yours, Robert.
Okay, so we have our patient family engagement program, which is part of our age-friendly improvement project. So the goal here is to maintain a minimum of 4 advisors. Now, advisors are going to be the community members, the family members, patients, not Bartlett staffs. And as you can see, the December meeting, we had 6 advisors, 4 guests. SLT was present. So we're meeting the goal there. So next, we're looking at access and efficiency and overall OR utilization. The goal is greater than 60% for block time utilization. And we've got that broken up into OR1, OR2, and then endo. And the data is available to us on a monthly basis instead of quarterly here. So I wanted to point that out. So you're looking, current conditions is for the month of December, prior period, the month of November. So not meeting goal across the board there. And then on-time percentage, again, greater than 60%. In November, all cases, it was 20%. For December, 21%. And finally, we have our CDI query rate. And so 58 of 60, there were 2 that were not carried forward. So 97%, which is an improvement over, I believe that says 92 for the third quarter. Goal here is 100%, so we're not quite there. And that is all for this particular tab of the dashboard.
Any questions before we move on to the next sheet? Okay, the next sheet is our workplace safety. And this is broken down for safety reported verbal incidences, physical, and then physical plant and physical environment safety reported incidences. We have established goals now on our sheet because we've been tracking for the full year in 2024 and across our 2025 totals. So now we've established goals for what we want to set with our departments and our type of events. And then we have a trend line that is, red going up, green going down, and you can see where we're trending on it. I think a lot of the trends heading down have contributed by our increase of our security forces across our environment. Also adding our access control measures that we've put in over the last year from 24 to 25. So you can see that there are certain areas that have definitely had some decrease of events. The overall events, I think, have been pretty steady in what has been reporting. So I think we're capturing the right number of events and tracking them. You will see there's an increase in JPD called to campus. We still have some traffic to deal with on our outside campus of excessive speeds, and that in our outside environment that we're managing. But overall, I don't think there's, that much limit of reporting. There's some areas that still are hesitant to report, but I will say our security department has captured a lot of these and understands the significance of reporting this to us. Any questions on a workplace safety dashboard?
Can I just ask you, Susan, I can't see the steps of the yellow one.
Oh,
The elevation monitor.
yeah, if, throughout the year, I look at, and I look at positive trends, I look at trends to evaluate and monitor, and then if it's concerning, then we put action plans in place. So because I'm doing my year end, I took all the different colors off that one.
I just can't see it.
Yep. And now my next one for my year-end report will be my medication, ones, and I did leave some green in here, Chad, just so you know. Yes, there is yellow in here. So this is our medication, event dashboard. So we have it split by medication events by department and then medication events by type, our scan medication rates, and then our good catches. Our good catches, I think, are on the low side because some of our good catches are captured under other events and they could be reported under that. And sometimes we have to manually remember to capture them under good catches also. So our good catches that came under that type of reporting are not always necessarily captured. So I think our good catch trend is going up, which I think is a really good sign of how we're catching things before they're reaching patients. So that is the one thing I really wanted to point out. Our scan medication rates over the last 3 to 4 years have really significantly gone up as I've been tracking them. So I want to say, even though we're not meeting our goal, we're very close to our goal. And I think that we should probably bump that up a little bit more to try to reach a 98% goal for our scan rates, especially our patients. Our medications, we still have some issues with our Meditech and our pharmacy getting the drugs in. So that's the good news. Joe always wants me to lead in with good news. Some of the things that we are capturing that I think we are working on. When I look at our medication events that I see a lot of our medication processes. When we see those, that means that our interfaces between our pharmacy, our EMR, and things that are captured reaching towards the patients. Those are a lot of our processes that I think we should capture, work on. That doesn't mean these have ever reached a patient, but those are our things that we need to work on process improvements on. So those are being captured, and those I think are things that need work on. The same thing with our preparation and our stored and expired medications. So those are the type of events that I look at that probably should be considered that never events that should be captured ahead of time. The other things that should be worked on is things that are reaching the wrong patients. So those happen when things like pharmacy has left, when I think we have contract pharmacy, things that come over from our contract pharmacy to Wildflower Court. Those are the things that we had a lot of problems early in 2025 till we went back to Juno Drug. We had a lot of reports from our older pharmacy that we corrected. So I think those will be coming down over the course of 2025. What I've asked when I've reported this through our hospital system is all of our departments to come up with an A3 on medication administration safety for 2026 and how they're working on it in their departments. But even though there's a lot of red on this, there's nothing that is alarming to me. I look at process improvement and I look at this as being really good reporting. And I'm really happy to see that our staff is reporting the errors because these can all be fixed. And there's been no sentinel events or no serious safety events around medication. That's what I was wondering, if the reporting was much better in 25 or rather than a huge increase in errors. No. A lot of these are, and the nice thing is having an interim pharmacy director. Now we have a clinical informaticist, the team working on fixing a lot of the process errors. So. Is there anything else you want to contribute to that, Kim? I think that's really, I see a lot of improvement coming with that in 26. The next dashboard is our blood contamination by department. Of course, we look at this because when we look at sepsis and infections, this is something really important for us to make sure that our blood cultures are drawn without contamination. We had a couple of glitches in coming forward, so we're just monitoring this in October, November. In our emergency department, that was the end of our travelers heading out here. So you can see back in December, we went down to rates and heading in the right trend. Our CCU med surg OB lab, all right within where they should be. So positive trends going forward. So nothing scary about that report. And then my last, what is this? About that report. Thank you. Yeah.
Last year, so for our dashboard, a few of the numbers haven't changed, just on the kind of the annual ones as far as maintaining our accreditation. Good. That's a win. And our I'm happy to report our ED visits did go down. For Q4, we're at 1.62. So I just got that number today. So at 1.62 for Q4 on the rate. So that is within our goal. Still at 4 stars. Our falls are at 3.8, which is a bit above where we want to be at that national average. Our fall rate has gone down significantly in the last 30 days. So we will probably see a drop on the next quarters. We've established processes in-house for monitoring our high fall risk patient or residents, excuse me. So we're just going to be continuing with those to keep our fall. Our pressure injury rate is at 11.5. That is higher than the national average. There's not really been it has come down a little bit since Q3. Something that we're monitoring as we usually do.
Have any idea what?
It's not a lot of residents, right? So it's just a few. So it's hard to be able to say, oh, this is why, right? There's so few people that we're talking about here. So it's really hard to speak in detail about that. So for the same point of, our, kind of increased rounding for fall prevention, it's kind of the same idea, ensuring that we're doing those every 2-hour roundings, right, to prevent pressure injuries as well. So for those residents, and we're just kind of tightening the ship a little bit on that. So
Are there some people that are just naturally declining too?
you're always going to see that in the mix, and that's a good observation. So, yeah. So weight loss, excessive weight loss, we're at 14.3, meeting regularly on that. It seems like a really high number. hoping that number is gonna be coming down. I'm actually expecting it to come down, so, there was some concerns, I think I mentioned last time, was the actual weighing of the residents, those with wheelchairs. We're just making sure we see more consistencies in that. And, you know, we meet weekly with the dietitian and, you know, we haven't had a lot of complaints about the food people are eating, but, you know, it's, again, population. Resident satisfaction, that hasn't changed since the last time we met. Employee engagement, 3.88, so technically not meeting our goal of 4.03. So, and then average daily census is at 54, which is the same as the prior quarter. And I do expect a bit of a dip next quarter. Any questions about?
Are you gonna amend your goal with the closure of your rooms, just to reflect the lower number? That's totally possible. We can just take six.
You should.
We should take six right at the top. So we reduce
Right,
two by six.
yeah, we should. I mean, the goal really is to stay as much at census, right? But yeah, well, that would make sense to maybe amend it for the next one. I'll do that, yeah. It's, we actually can't typically,
Yeah, it's possible to get to
right?
more.
Yeah, we just cannot meet it. So we'll, Robert and I will adjust it to the next meeting, just so it's not so drastic. We have some great referrals coming in and looking at, getting that back up as soon as possible.
Excited.
So the last one, it's gonna be quick, I'm not gonna go through every measure. This is one we have to, attest to for the patient safety start home measure for CMS this year. I'm just gonna go down to what we're not meeting, just to let you know where we are. We did not get dinged for this year yet. It will be coming to short. So in domain 4, the things we're going to be working on is patient safety metrics are tracked and reported on all clinical and non-clinical staff and made public in hospital units. So that will be coming of how we display them across the hospital. Accountability and transparency. This is a candor toolkit that we will be rolling out for our medical staff and our department level manager. So we have a significant patient event, how we disclose that and talk to our patients and families about it, who talks about it, when you talk about it, providing ongoing support with them. And then we track the performance and resolution program and how we get that information up to the board. And domain 5, patient and family engagement, supports the presence of family and our other designated persons.
Gail, I'm sorry, do we have that in the? Oh.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, I don't have my glasses today, so I have to use my
That's
computer.
I have my glasses on, I still use my computer.
And domain 5, I probably should have changed. I think we have met this. Visitation 24 hours a day is visible. I think we pretty much have that with our designated persons as defined by the patients. And that I think we changed presentation. And that I just have to double check that. So we are almost 100% there. I wanted to be there before they tie it into like our value-based purchasing or another program. So that is. As we said, we were going to move Jeanette up, so.
Thank you very much. I just have a few brief updates. So I'm sharing with you some proposed edits to our utilization management plan. Utilization management plan is required by CMS, and the conditions of participation really outline what this plan should include, and ours does that. Basically says that the functions of utilization management are assigned to case management. And that it's, as I said, is based on CMS conditions of participation. The first edit that we have is on page 2, number C. Our QIO was previously Essentra. Previously Kepro, and they've changed us to Essentra. So just updated that in our plan. And then, so this outlines how we review all of the patients that come into the hospital. And then it outlines how case management collaborates with the providers to support the utilization management process. It talks about how we manage and how we work with patients that don't meet inpatient criteria. It outlines the utilization, I'm on page 3 now, utilization review committee composition. So part of our plan is that we have a physician committee that meets quarterly, and we review outlier cases, denials, compliance with the 2 midnight rule, readmissions, and then on page 3, under section I, we added a number under 1.2, we added documentation deficiencies. So that's something that we've been working on with CDI. And when we have, Robert kind of spoke to the carry forward rate. So that's one thing that we've been working on with just kind of really tracking those with providers when we have, CDI has done a query with them and they agreed with the query, but then they don't carry it forward. The issue with that is then we can't get reimbursement for that. So the work's already been done. And so we're really trying to track those and document those and work with providers to help make sure that that documentation is getting completed. So we've been doing documentation deficiencies. We just didn't have it in the plan. So that was added. Let's see. And then I don't know if you want me to continue going over the plan itself, but the only other edit that we had was updating our references and our versions of the references, CMS, conditions of participation, our Milliman and Interqual additions were all updated. Does anybody have any questions about the UM plan? Thank you. I appreciate you letting me. There's a lot of options here. Thank you.
Is it still going on? It's not a fidget spinner. Here we go. I told you. Lazy, they constantly do our duress alarms.
We're just gonna play, somebody gets something everybody wants.
I'm turning yours on first tomorrow.
Oh, gosh, no, I'm gonna see, with Chad, so then my depression, I think it's bad. All right, so, by going, okay, can I go next? Might be really fast. Oh, yeah, okay, no, so your name's first. So by going through the dashboards, what you've heard is evaluation of what we've done for the last year. And you actually already have seen our goals for this year. The only couple things that's terrible English, sorry, thankfully Hal's not here listening to that, or hopefully we'll listen to the recording now that I just called him out. Oh my God. There's just a couple things under equitable, under my goals that I just wanted to highlight out that I don't have on my dashboard, but I will be doing. You can go up to where our goals are there. that I will be doing 8-3s on. So with Jeanette, we do screening for our social determinants of health of inpatients. But we are going to be looking at stratifying our patient events. So things that happen to patients like a medication error or a fall or other significant events. So we're looking at our demographics of our patients and our indicators. So what we're trying to do is see, is it more likely that a person who's 65 has a medication event? Or, we know older populations fall more often, but is it in older women? Is it a person with certain comorbidities, and how are we tracking it? Or then we're looking at time of day and that. So we're looking at what is their demographics, age, race, things like that, and trying to find trends on it and why are our patients falling. Part of this is we want to achieve our age-friendly level 2. We have level 1 now for our hospital. This is one of the things we're doing for our level 2. The other thing that we're working on is achieving our core level ortho certification. So age-friendly, older people get more hips and knees and that. So this is one of the projects we're working on for that. Another 8-3 that I have going. So these type of goals that I have that are not being addressed on our core dashboards will be coming through on 8-3s. So those are the only things on our core goals that you're not going to be seeing on a quarterly basis that you'll be seeing through our 8-3 processes. So that was the only major changes in my plan that we added on our goals that you're not seeing on our dashboards. Other than that, the minor changes, I had a couple people trying to find all my grammatical and my flawless punctuation errors from the year before. So hopefully it'll go through the winter easily. I love that term, flawless. Right, Charlie, you're up.
So hopefully you guys got in your packet. Okay, 2025 evaluation. We can skip through because the changes for the community assessment, the actual infection control written plan didn't really change in this document. So page 12. Okay. So the risk assessment we did last January identified 11 different areas that we were at risk for. Biggest ones were emerging and high consequence infectious disease, multi-drug resistant organisms that are hard to eradicate from the environment, that can lead to RS, influx of infectious patients, lack of patient immunization, and surgical site infections round out the top 6. So here are actions that we did throughout the year. Our goals were to prepare and protect staff, patients in the community from these high consequence infectious diseases. So on page 14 outlines our strategies and what we measured and our actions were for 2020. So the greater part of the first quarter, we met and we partially met this goal that we would have a policy read, reviewed, approved. We did get that done by April, and we did a tabletop drill simulating verbally what we would do if we had a measles patient come to the emergency room. We wanted to do more of a drill, so we modified the goal to do that tabletop. We did have members from the local, or regional special pathogens unit in Spokane. They came to the hospital to do a risk assessment with me in person to see what areas we could work on. So that happened in March of last year. And then just to protect staff, wanted to keep our flu vaccination rate we did meet that.
So for our goal number 2, protect patients from healthcare associated infections such as surgical site infections. Our main strategy here was surface cleaning. And Mark, facilities, and Courtney's team in the OR and diligently multiple times throughout the year. And my goal is to have observations of process of cleaning done 4 times a year. We exceeded that goal in reevaluating the whole service line agreement, who cleans what, making sure that was done. Everybody had hands-on and did a much better job of cleaning. So, there was a competency, so based on that observation thing we did, we had the OR EBS staff or all did the skills check off. And we wanted to keep our surgical site infection rate really low. We have a very low surgical site infection rate. We did meet that this year, even including, which Robert, I'm going to illustrate again for you today. There's 2 more surgical site infections purchased in the book I don't have on my annual plan or my evaluation. Because they were just found in the last week of December and evaluated this month. So we still meet with even those additional 2 infections. Our recalculated rate is it was 0.1. This is, I'm giving all my math. With 2 infections last year, it was 0.1, and now we have 4 infections, so it's 0.2. So. Oh. Right.
What were those?
The ones from just.
Can you walk me through that? You lost me.
So the math to determine the rate is number of infections over the total year's number of procedures. With an incision, so I take out scopes basically, and then multiply that by 100. So you get number of infections, which would be 0.2 per 100 procedures done.
Went from 1 infection to
With the ones I just found, we went from 2 to 4 for the year. And Kim, to answer your question, one was a colon C-section and one a C-section. Okay, and then our last goal for 2025 was to in relation to the first goal, protect and prepare for high consequence infectious disease. If we were to have something such as Ebola be suspected, the process of putting on PPE is an intensive process. So we wanted to train a percentage of our house supervisor staff and our ER staff. We trained 1 ER nurse, myself, and the employee health nurse. Those 4 people is going to carry on this goal of 2026 and do that with suits. So that's 2025, everything we did in last year. So the next document is in 2026. I did include the risk assessment here, but again, top of the risk assessment came out with lack of patient immunization. So again, influx of infectious disease from the community is going to be at the top of. But I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry. Running through the plan and changes needed to be made. On page 4, we no longer do chemical dependency residential. So I missed that from last year, so I took that out as far as our services provided. The community assessment, our population is very stable. A 1% decrease from 24 to 25. Age groups, we did have an increase by 1 or 2 percentages of underserved and disadvantaged population
and people without health insurance. So that is going up in our community. A major, risk for us is the amount of visitors that come through the summer. 2025 went up again from 2024, which broke. So people have, again, another long and big visitor season next year. But we are shortening it, I hear, back to end of April to beginning of October as it. Our patient admissions stayed exactly the same from year to year. Our TB risk for the state of Alaska is about the same. We had a major increase from, I think, 22 to 23, but 24 or 25 to 26, TB rates are the same in Alaska. So that's a community needs and community risk assessment. That's part of the plan. Page 12. You skipped past it. From the risk assessment, these are the top concerns for infection control, lack of patient immunization, high consequence infectious disease, and multi-drug resistant organisms. So moving on to page 14. Our first goal is to focus on hand hygiene compliance and good, reliable, consistent observation data. So what we are doing is reinvigorating our observation training program, including senior leadership, changing the culture of observation, and to increase the amount of observers and the number of observations collected. So like Gail said earlier, we're shooting for at least 100 observations in each unit per quarter, so every 3 months. And then as it is right now, OB is the only unit hitting that target of that number of observations. All the other units are a third of that. But our compliance rate ranges in the outside of the OB, which is at 100%. The other units are about 70 to 80%. So hospital-wide, we're at 85% compliance. Therefore, our compliance rate that we want to achieve in 2026 is 90%. So we're setting the bar very high and training people to be much better observers. Our second goal, we have low healthcare acquired infection rates. So I want to maintain that. I expanded this goal to include all of our medical devices. So including catheters, central lines, ventilators, and surgical site. Significantly, we've been doing a great job with our catheter-related infections. When I first started, we had 2 or 3 a year, and last year we had none. So that is very significant. And that to me speaks to antimicrobial efforts and hand hygiene and nursing, good nursing care. And then our last goal number 3 is what I said about 2025. We did not achieve training and getting house supervisor and emergency room staff trained for donning and doffing. So that is what we're going to work on for 2026. Okay. Thank you. All right.
Travis pushing it over to me. So, yeah, right. So just to start on, Sharon, I don't know if you got Travis email.
Yeah, I can't,
Can't get it in
I
there.
can't show, yeah.
Okay, so there'll be one that the wrong year was presented, so we'll have to the current one put in there after this so that it's appropriate for it. Right, so let's start off with hazardous materials and waste management program. The scope remains appropriate. In 2025, performance metric identify significant staff knowledge gaps in two areas, which are going to be targeted for 2026. Those gaps, some of them included eye wash, body drenching equipment location, just understanding where they're at. Responsibility for full farm waste buckets. Locating a safety data sheet. And then how to wash, shower, check frequency. So, is some of the accomplishments for 2025. Current scope for safe handling and disposal of hazardous materials remains appropriate. Maintain status as conditional exempt. So we are remaining a small quantity generator. So those are all good things which help us out. 2026 action plan. So training rework, they're gonna start migrating training to HealthStream. Targeted in-person swarming. Just to help out with some of those education gaps. The initial facility-wide review and update of the safety data sheets for January 2026. We're gonna start looking at all those more depth. And then conduct facility walkthroughs to check efficiency, effectiveness, and assign a new committee chair in April. And that is due to John is looking at that. Move on to life safety. Yeah. So, the life safety management plan. While operating goals were met for fire drills, there were some gaps that were identified with fire staff training. We wanted to get all staff trained to identify appropriate fire stop application and inspecting. And 50% was met on that. So in 2026, we'll be working towards getting those gaps filled. Some of the accomplishments for 2025. Fire drills remain 100% successful. Inspections for Johnson Control for inspections and weekly fire door inspections, and all of these really helped with our annual inspections. And all of our maintenance staff was retraining in asbestos awareness. 2026 action plans. We're gonna keep that fire plant, the randomly checking fire doors. It's gonna remain on there just because it's catching a lot of those life safety infractions that we would be seeing if we were to be visited by Joint Commission. We're going to make sure that the rest of staff is trained on guilty fire stop. One of the things that we're talking about action plans was they're having a problem with finding a vendor on GPO for our fire stop inspections. We were able to find a new person on GPO. We had them come through this year, really helped out. That opened our eyes to a few things, which was grateful. And so on both of those last, so on this one, safety, no change to recommended for 26. Plan. So move on to equipment. So, medical equipment management plan, the program successfully integrated new clinics. So we have ophthalmology, ortho, and family medicine. Within those, 100% of the piece of equipment were identified. Make sure we got the assets into our TMS. However, there was a gap in 2025. We had 25% of our rounding done. Our goal of 100. So that will be a focus on 2026 to make sure that we are being 100% inspection rounding. And we'll be doing all of these inspections. So some of the accomplishments for 2025, successfully set up a new biomedical equipment TMS for all those different clinics. The install of new Hillrom beds in OR1, 2, and new ED exam lights in the trauma bays and treatment rooms. We had Frank, biomed tech, attended specialized built monitoring training. So we're moving towards further in education. And we achieved 100% compliance for developing and following a detailed PM checklist in TMS for wildfire court and environmental family medicine. So 2026 rounding compliance is going to be one of the main, so that we can hit all the departments twice a year. Procedure standardization, we want to continue. This is going to be a multi-year project in TMS, just because the mass size of how many pieces of equipment we have. So we're going to be aiming for 20% annually. So it's going to be a 5-year program, 5 years to accomplish it. And then we maintain 100% recall management for last year for 2025. We want to maintain that again for 2026. And no changes were recommended for the management plan. I'll move on, Sharon, to safety management. So the safety management plan, I really want to on this one off because this is one of them that I didn't really get to review, but it's one of the shorter ones, so we'll get. The safety management plan was reviewed in 2025 and its core objectives remain appropriate. The plan is effective, focusing the committee's efforts, particularly in the environment, the physical environment, and the physical environment is what we're going to start. Okay, from EOC this next year. However, 2025 performance metric identified significant gaps in the rounding. We did get about 78% of the 100% goal. Consistent monthly safety communication to staff is 58%. Target 2026, we'll be working on that to better it. So the gaps, like it was said, EOC rounding about 80%. It was below our 100% benchmark. We want to make that 100%. It's important to do those rounds so that we can maintain our readiness, recognition readiness. And then, so one thing that we're doing is we're going to set reminders so that we can do that in the future. So some of the accomplishments, current objective that A3 improve performance, educate staff, and forward practice, comply with regulations, monitor effectiveness, still apply, no changes recommended for 2026. Committee focused, active committee participation, successfully focused efforts on physical environment, safety, infrastructure, multiple large physical and environment safety projects were completed. And rounding software, which we're using, was implemented. And we're going to continue using that through all the subcommittees. 2026 action plan. Rounding improvements. Further improve complete rate effectiveness of physical environment safety roundings with the new software. And then we're also going to start working on training staff on how to use that so that it's not just not going to do rounding. Staff knowledge enhancement, improve staff knowledge about rounding physical environment. One of the things that we really need to do is get staff educated on their departments so that they can manage, making sure that their departments are compliant. So Sharon, if we want to move on to security management plan. Yeah, this is the one that is an old one, it's 2024, so the 2025, we will be putting the addition.
Pull that out of policy type, that's updated.
So the policy, yes, the policy is correct. The annual evaluation is the 2024. Yes, I did roll that. Yeah, so it's current. The evaluation is what it is. Yeah. Plan is. This, the plan, yes, it remains current, it remains appropriate for. As part of the security management plan, there are small changes, but only in the scope. We have wildfire fort now.
Family practice and Pete's too.
And so there's a few other buildings that we're going to be bringing into the fold with the security presence. 2025 gaps. Implement security rounding was below the benchmark. Development written strategy for the steroid duress testing wasn't met. Shoot for the end of Q3, and so that's being pushed to 2026. Finalize, implement patient visitor policy. It was partially met, so that's going to be. He said it was 80%, so that's going to hopefully be updated, finalized. Some of the accomplishments, current objective, risk reduction, address concern, educate, access control, remain unchanged. The scope was formally updated to include all facilities at both Parkland and Bluffton. Staff increase was one of the things that Bill mentioned too, and that is a big accomplishment to get enough staff to have on shifts. And Operation Success Parking enforcement has improved access for patient visitors, enhanced communication between departments has improved response time. So 2026 action plan, knowledge assessment. So fully implement Walsh rounding. That's the new software tracking rounding software that we're going to be using moving forward. Finalized Sarah system upgrade. And people push the buttons to chill. Policy formalization, finalize and implement. It's good to test. Finalize and implement the new code of conduct, addressing weapons, drugs, conduct to achieve 100% compliance, and then enhance staffing awareness and enforcement regarding security, securing their work areas, sensitive information after hours. So some 2026 action items.
Charles, I have a question.
Yes.
What is the plan? I'm trying to look
I
at
wish Travis.
both. Both of you can handle. For our off-campus security, like for Bartlett Family Medicine, Home Health Hospice, and Glacier Peds.
So
And security can't respond to all of those, so is there a plan to?
Their response is gonna be a 911 call if you can't do it. Right now, the guys are doing random, just off-campus checks, so they're going through right now, they're filling out the paperwork through HR to get it onto the insurance so that they can grab a company vehicle. And then just randomly, once, 2 times a week, just on a random basis, both night and day shift are heading out there just to around full control, just to show their presence. There's not a whole lot we can do as far as being a constant presence out there. Other than-
No, I don't expect that. I think it would be inappropriate.
They're,
But I think if they're gonna be out there after hours, we need some sort of identification on the vehicle. Especially if they're at a Bartlett Family Medicine.
we can get it back there.
It might just be worth having, I don't know how much they run, might be cheap enough just to throw a, get a PRE standardized.
Yeah.
Something on there.
The
Also,
night
the
shift
advertising.
hasn't started that yet, because they're still in the process of getting the paperwork turned in.
So just whenever, I just think as you're out there, people are gonna wonder why, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So, sure, let's move on to utility management plan. The utility management plan, also remains appropriate. The program especially managed IT upgrades. I did get a list, it's identified in there, don't need to go through them all because it's a super short list. And it's kind of above my head. So I won't really answer any questions on security management there. Security's up there still. Abilities, utility. Yeah, there you go. So there were some performance gaps, some due to staffing. Though we were working on that, we almost had full staff this year. We also had some GPO issues. Finding vendors who run GPOs. It was also a problem. But we were able to identify some now. So some of the items that we were hoping for some upgrades. We'll be able to start finalizing some of those in 2026. For medical equipment upgrades. But we were able to find vendors for it, GPO. Some accomplishments. We had minimal failure for PMs. Monitor problems, reduce illness risk, remain current. No change for plan scope. Structure management. Labeled all-star breakers. This was a big one for mission to help us out. It's identified that we had a lot of breakers that were on review. One of our action items were to identify every breaker if it was a spare. And we found some that we labeled as spare that were actual breakers that were right for a piece of equipment. And we were notified that these people were also prepared to identify them. Identified system obsolete systems. The med air, waste anesthesia gas. The manifolds, oxygen manifolds were all identified. We were working to getting those filled with the vendor. EPL. So some of the key action plans for this 2026 year. Gotten schedule, amending the revised phase audit schedule to ensure 100% of the main possible utilities reviewed by the fourth quarter. We're looking at 25% per quarter. It's going to include Bartlett Family Medicine. Obsolete systems we're aggressively we're pursuing vendor quotes seek approval for replacement via deferred maintenance target replacement completion by end of quarter. Fourth quarter. Staff training, develop an online training platform. We have a few that we're looking at And we'll work with staff development on that so that we can further educate our staff. We're going to continue to work on mulch rounding so that we can keep the hospital compliant. And there's several IT projects that are being worked on. And those will be identified next year's. So are there any questions on any of these? So the new utility, sorry, the new annual evaluation, we'll make sure it's in there and Sharon fit that with them.
But you guys, you said that, the weapons aren't showing up, but the objects are, the different items. What are people bringing into the hospital?
So we're seeing items like ammunition coming in, weapons parts coming in. Different items like that we're getting reports to. It's stuff that's found when they're doing a security review on MHU, PES downstairs, asking for items. They self-voluntarily turn over, but there is gonna be, if that stuff's coming in, where's the rest of it? That's the concern.
People bringing in knives, stuff like that.
We get knives all the time.
Thanks. But we are. Oh, okay. Hey, Deb,
Yes.
can you make a motion to accept that action item, please?
I'm sorry, to repeat that and make a motion to what?
A motion to accept the action items.
Yes. I move that we accept the action item as presented. I'll read it off. I move the quality committee of the Bartlett Regional Hospital to approve the patient safety and quality improvement plan, infection improvement plan, utilization management plan, and environment of care plans, and forward them to the full board of directors of the Bartlett Regional Hospital for approval.
Thank you. And I second. Okay. Any comments, questions? Okay. But we are adjourned unless you want to discuss the next meeting. Okay, we're gonna wait to schedule the next meeting for me. Thank you.